I'm not guessing. It's cracked and missing pieces.
You, Ms. McCabe, you do this all day.
Incorrect. I didn't lie to them.
First off, I'm a salaried employee, so I don't get direct compensation when an invoice goes out. That invoice, when it's sent, ultimately comes back to ARCA. That doesn't come back to Dan Wolf.
Okay.
Yes, I keep track of my time so that my boss knows what I'm doing. Yes.
Okay.
My opinion is that that's what caused his whole injury.
Well, I've got one more. Hold on.
Okay, wait, where am I? Oh, did I need to turn that off? Hold on. It's not going to play again, is it? I don't think so. Oh, there I wait, where am I? Wait, where am I? Oh, there I am. Wait, you guys. Oh my god. So I don't want to turn my camera on. Is that a problem? You guys have a problem with that today? Hold on. Let me. For some reason, I don't know why it's all. Oh wait, I know why. Oh hello, there I am. Transition. Start virtual camera. Oh wait, I think there. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh whoa, yeah, maybe not. Woo. So anyways, I'm here. I got off work a couple hours ago and I'm like chilling. And I was working on these videos, you guys. Oh my gosh. Hi Dag, how are you? I never get to see you. Thanks for hanging out with me. You're like the best. And so handsome. Oh my gosh, this guy. Oh, he's so handsome. Oh my gosh. You know what he does? I can't, you know what? If you go to his stream, he'll tell you what he does for a living. And then you guys, ladies, you can fantasize. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? Yeah, I said it. My face isn't on the screen, so it doesn't matter. I can deny it. Oh, thanks, Ron Ferris. I appreciate that. So, anyways, excuse me. You have to. Pardon me. I have had the worst allergies today, and I think anybody who lives in Minnesota or near Minnesota is well aware of the allergy season that is upon us. So did you like my videos, you guys? Like I don't want to put my camera on. I don't want to. I feel like my camera's like super zoomed in, and I don't like that. Mm-mm. No. Oh, I know. Oh, I got an idea. Boop. There we go. Ta-da! Fixed it. I like it. Anyway, so yeah, you'll have to excuse me. I made these videos because, like, every morning, like with the secure and retrial, look, hate your state. I know you're over there in Rumble because I told you I was going to go live, and he's over there being funny. He says theory number 734. Yes, for some reason I can't populate the Rumble chat up in here. I mean, I could probably show it, but you know what? It's there. Okay, so. Anyways, hate your state. He, you know what? He's right. It is. And here's my new theory, you guys. Okay, did you guys see? Okay, where do I start? Every morning I get up and like it starts before my work day starts most days. And so, well, usually, but you know, they have their morning recess, which is at exactly when they're supposed to start, and their sidebar for at least 20 to 30 minutes. And then, you know, they go through that whole rigmarole every single morning. So everybody's left stuck watching the fan. And so there's so many jokes that have been told about this fan that I'm just like, oh my God. And, you know, of course, me, I had to wait, where is this? Is this the. Yeah. So you know what? These are funny. You sit there and watch this. It's super funny, these quotes. And this is just a little snippet of it. And you know, it goes on throughout the day because every time they have a recess or a sidebar, the fan goes up. So there's, you know, I could clip that fan like, and I've got several clips of it. I was thinking about it today. I'm like, you know, I want to do this. And so I just thought I did a little synopsis. Maybe I'll expand on it. I don't know. Every day it's funny. I laugh my ass off. Just you know, reading chat or you know, yeah, it's funny. Anyways, and don't tell me you guys don't laugh too. You know, everybody's got a Karen Reed trial channel. You know what? Have at it. I love watching them. I love going and giving my 2 cents, even though nobody asks. Well, that's what you're supposed to do, I suppose. I try not to be a troll. But boy, oh boy, there are so many, like I said, so many jokes to be had because of the way that this case is, I guess, played out. And hi, Farmer Fred. And I think that a lot of it has to do with I don't know. I have a conspiracy theory mind. So when it all comes down to it, why are they hiding all of this stuff? Okay, here's my new theory, Hate Your State. I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm going to spit it. Okay, I'm going to spit it out. I know that's what you're shouting back over there. I know you're saying, spit it out. It was traumatizing when the fan wasn't spinning. Oh my God, dude. Did you see those texts? Wait, where was that one? This thing right here where he's like, someone get his fans dug his. Do we know? Good morning, ladies. I'm single. This Biff Ron's kind of cracked me up this morning. And then he's like, I need the trigger events for the fan. I wonder if it's the clock. The fan has its day off. It's 40 degrees. Did the fan finally break? Everybody were like freaking out over this fan today because it wasn't moving. And you know what? I was like, is my screen like freezing or something? And so basically that's kind of how every morning goes. The fan being on is an indicator that court's ready to start any minute now, or literally in session somehow. I don't know why we equate that, but I think the judge even said, turn the fan off at one point. So who knows? Who knows? That's the thing. But I've got a lot to say. So I, of course, listened to that new guy, the what was that guy? A brain surgeon today? And so he knows what happened. He knows how John died. He knows how John died. Okay, I'm going to accept his explanation of how John died, which was his head trauma. He actually says that his nose wasn't broken, that he actually hit his head on the ground. But that he could have gotten up and walked around a little bit and all this stuff. So I had to go back. And this is what I call the first investigation. And I think it was Whiffen that started getting questioned about some data that he didn't share. Well, hold on a second. Let's play this.
Point over that night?
Yes. So each of those center dots is the center of a 10-meter accurate or better location record. I chose to not show the accuracy radius circle on this image just purely because it makes it hard to see when you've got all these intersecting lines. But ultimately, if you were to draw a 10-meter radius around all of these points, they would all fall within the large red circle that's shown.
So this photograph was meant to take readings from the most accurate of the data throughout the night?
Correct.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. Ask it again differently, please.
Was this circle, did it include low frequency data?
No, this circle only includes 10-meter accuracy or better.
The fact that the center dots are in different spots, is that inconsistent with a phone being in the same place, not moving that entire night?
It could indicate movement, it could indicate refinement.
Is it impossible to tell?
It's impossible to tell at this level of detail anyway.
Are all of these dots, given the range, 10 meters or under, are all these dots and all these readings of the high frequency data that you compiled for that night, are they all consistent with Mr. O'Keefe's phone being near the flagpole and not moving that night?
Objection, Your Honor.
Going on.
I think that's a reasonable assumption.
Assumption. a reasonable assumption. I've got a lot of reasonable assumptions at this point. So for Whiffen to use those terms, it's one of, maybe he should have said one of. It's not the only reasonable assumption at that point. So these guys are using tricky little words, I think, in their own little, that's what I think personally. So that's where I went with that. So then I wanted to go, wait a second. He talked about this a little bit more. So let me, and some of the other records and stuff that were originally out there. And now we've more recently heard what the Texas guy, whatever, the guy, with the Dairy Queen topper. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. I think I'm going to have to present my screen, I think, because I actually have this and I don't know if it's going to, you know what? Wait, I did save the file, so I might be able to just present it that way. Hold on. Let me remove that one and maybe that video file. Okay. I think I just did it too. Screen recordings. Yeah. The part one, though. I want the part one. Here it is. So this right here.
Summary section of your report is a summary of the location section that you wrote in your March 2025 report, correct?
That's correct.
And it states the location data on this device contains a vast number of records while traveling between 1930.
Now, if you can't keep up with me, I'm sorry. This is the only way that you're going to be able to get through all the information that we need to get through. Okay? Learn to speak like a Hispanic woman. Okay? They speak fast and they can listen fast too. Okay? Sorry. If you need to later, when you're watching this later, just slow it down later for yourself if you need to. Okay? But right now, we're going to fly through some. Burgess the guy. Yeah, that guy. You're right. Yeah, I hate your state. Yeah.
3 and 122438. These records all have a high horizontal accuracy value as well as bearing and speed information which conforms to the streets being traveled. Next paragraph. The device arrived outside 34 Fairview at 122438 where it remained static for about 30 seconds. Do you see that, sir?
I do, yes.
And did I read that correct?
You did.
I started to slow this down in my video editor, so it'll start. The sound will start getting all weird. I just did that for you guys because I was doing this right before I went it live. So, sorry.
It says at 2530 the device bearing shifts to a westerly direction as location records also show the device moving west from the roadside towards the house. Did you put that in your timeline?
I did not.
It's kind of important information, isn't it?
I believe with the declining accuracy, the value that those records provided was more limited.
But it was important enough for you to write it in your report, but you didn't put it in the timeline, correct?
Correct.
Now, if you could continue on your report, page 29, Mr. Wolk, if you could put, and we're going to be flipping back and forth between the timeline and your report. If we could go to page 29 and enlarge it, the text, so the jury is able to read it along with us.
They did it to confuse the freaking jury. They did it. I see why the prosecution did it the way that they did it, to present their evidence in their unfolding story. But at this point, if they have video footage of Karen actually hitting this guy and they haven't given this to her, which I think that they do. I think that there is video footage of somebody hitting John and somebody else knows, you know what? Do I think she hit him? Maybe. She might have hit him, but I think he got up and walked away. I think he went in the house, partied all night, and then at 5 o'clock in the morning, when she was freaking perusing the streets, she seen him and she was like, "You fucking bastard," ran his ass over. And then I don't know. Maybe that's my theory for today. You like that one? Hate your state. Or okay, wait, hate your state. Did I lose you? Hate your state? Listen. Or Well, here, you know what? Watch the rest of this, and you tell me.
We're going to start from the top. So the next says, from the combination of device location and bearing, it does appear that the device started to move towards the house. However, since the bearing information appears to be based on the location records rather than the direction the device is facing, it is difficult to say with any degree of certainty if the device actually moved. Did I read that correctly?
You did.
So the first part is again a statement that the device has started to move toward the house. Now, if we could go to the next paragraph. This location data is immediately followed by 12 minutes of low accuracy records which offer no reliable location information. So I just want to make sure I've got the time period here right. The 12 minutes is from 1225, correct?
Yes.
And so 1225 plus 12 is 1237. So the range we're talking about here is from 1225 through 1237, correct?
Correct.
Right.
So I want to discuss with you the very top entry, health 1230.
Now look at this. Look at this. Apparently, she was to have this health event 3156. Eventually, what they come to say today or yesterday over the last few days is that is the time where she backed up her vehicle and ran his ass over. Well, then how? This 3209, this is the last time he presses the lock button. End of the health event at 3216, right? So that's where Whiffen this is where Whiffen testifies that, hey, that's what John O'Keefe's phone says. So just the past couple of days, they've been talking about some vehicle data that this guy who works for Aperture, and he is a forensic technician or something. I don't necessarily want to say scientist, because when I think scientist, I think degree. I think you've got a freaking PhD in some sort of scientific field, some thing like that. But no. He has his associate's degree. Hey, you know what? Honestly, that's all you need. And then you take the core classes. Then you take the I should say the focused classes. Honestly, I agree. I mean, I have a couple of different associate degrees, and I have certificates, but bachelor's, I don't have one of those. You don't need one. You do if you want to do certain things, but nowadays, because information is so vast and because people are learning certain things about technology and writing script and things like that, that right there is something that is, you can learn on your own. That's kind of interesting. But just looking at some of this stuff, okay, so I just totally got off on a little tangent there. Sorry. Arbitrage. I know. 735. Shut up, hate your state. You're right. Yes, you're right. Hate your state. Theory number 735. So let's play this out. I mean, there's
156, where you have the entry start of health event 36 steps. 25 meters, and yesterday we agreed 25 meters is approximately 84 feet, correct?
Correct.
And that is what you have in the timeline. Let's understand what 75. That means. At that time period, 12/31/56, do you recall writing in a March 2025 report that the device began moving for a period of 20 seconds?
Related to location data, I believe?
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
Now, if we could, Mr. Will, go back to page 29 of the report. So what I want to do is go back to that paragraph up at the top from the combination of the device. From the combination of device location and bearing, it does appear that the device started to move toward the house. However, since the bearing information appears based on the location records rather than the direction the device is facing, it is difficult to say with any degree of certainty if the device actually moved. So you're talking about difficulty saying with certainty, correct?
Correct.
But it is certainly possible that the device was at that location and was moving toward the house. That's possible, correct?
Based on location data, yes.
And is this time that include that 12:37, 12-minute range, 12:25 to 12:37?
Yes, it was not being used for location purposes.
So that's another reason why, right, the accuracy could be a little bit on the lower side.
Correct.
Now, the next paragraph says, at 12:38:13, when the device begins recording higher, and that's relative to what it was recording before. It's not that it's high, but it's higher than what it was just moments before.
Correct.
The data centers on a location slightly closer to the house than
Very
the roadside.
interesting.
Although several records show the same center coordinate with differing accuracy radii. Some of these location records are shown in the map below in white. So let's go down and look at what you had in your report for the area in white.
This is
In the area in
very-
white that you're referring to, there are two white circles, the largest one there. This, in fact, was a depiction that you included in your report on page 29, correct?
Correct.
This is kind of the part where this makes Ian Whiffen look dirty. Okay. Remember when he first testified? This is it. It made him look dirty AF. Okay. Just saying.
Interesting and notable. You did not include that depiction in your timeline that you discussed with the jury yesterday, did you?
I did not know.
Dun dun dun. Why?
But it was important enough for you to put that depiction in your report, correct?
Correct.
And notably, the larger white circle covers a substantial amount of the house at 34 Fairview, correct?
Correct.
Can I tell you why? It's because that's what was requested, and that's what they were talking about, that particular data set that he had put together. And so that's how they get around this shit. And that's how they continue to testify as experts, is because they do what the client wants. Who ordered him? Who ordered these reports? Who, you know what I mean? I'll shut up.
So, given your testimony on direct yesterday with Attorney Brennan, the phone of John O'Keefe, according to this depiction, could be anywhere within the largest white circle, correct?
Correct.
And this depiction was not offered by you or the Commonwealth in your presentation to the jury yesterday, correct?
Correct. Not in PowerPoint.
Now, if we could go back, Mr. Wolk, to page 29 of your report, into the text. And if we can enlarge the text just a little bit, please, for the jury, Mr. Wolk. So the paragraph that begins with, at 12:38:13, when the device begins recording higher accuracy information again, the data centers on a location slightly closer to the house than the roadside, although several records show the same center coordinate with differing accuracy radii. Some of these location records are shown on the map in white below. And I repeated that just to connect this part of the text to that diagram with a big white circle. Have I done that correctly?
Yes, correct.
Look at the
Thank you,
time
sir. The next
stamp on
paragraph. Over the next few hours, the GPS coordinate and the associated accuracy radius jumps around numerous times between the house and the road. Did I read that correct?
Correct.
And therefore, over the next few hours, according to your report, the phone of John O'Keefe could be in the house, correct?
Based on the low accuracy information, yes.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
The next paragraph. We'll stop there for a moment, and I would like to, Mr. Will, go down scroll, please, to that diagram that's right below that text again. Yesterday, you discussed the Waze application with Ms. Attorney Brennan, correct?
Correct.
And you stated that Waze location data is more accurate than the data that comes from the Apple apps like Health Data and Location, correct?
Incorrect, no.
I'm sorry, is Waze location data, in your view, accurate location data?
There isn't really a thing such as Waze location data.
Okay.
Waze location data doesn't really exist. Waze is requesting location data from location services, and location services would respond with high accuracy information.
Okay, I appreciate that correction. So, when someone is using a Waze application, is the information they get through that Waze app accurate?
It tries to be accurate, yes.
And as a general matter, is the Waze application more accurate than the Apple information regarding location?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing because it's coming essentially from the same source, correct?
Yes, Apple provides the information to Waze.
What
Right,
the
so you
Waze is going to show. Let me tell you what the Waze is going to show.
Hello, Daryl?
No, it's Steve. Dally?
Steve? I want to talk to Derry.
Yeah, sure.
Hello.
Yeah, Derry, listen.
Yeah.
Just knocked off his door, man. The cops said they're looking for me.
Can you meet me in the park?
Sure, Dal. Are you all right?
Yeah, Johnny's dead.
We know.
John.
Look, meet me in the park, will ya?
Hang on, we'll be right there.
That was Dally. The cops are after him. We gotta hide him.
Never gonna get me alive!
Robert!
No! 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 Not lying! No! No! It's just a kid! No.
Tony.
So I was kind of thinking along those lines of, another possibility. Hate your state? Are you watching still? That sounded, it didn't mean to be mean. I didn't mean it to be mean. But here's the thing. What if he was like, that bitch hit me, and he's walking around in the front yard, and he freaking takes his drink and he fucking throws it at her car while she's freaking driving away, and he freaking walks over there because I think it said 35 steps. So I did that. I think it said a certain amount of steps in 20 seconds, and I was like, I'm going to walk that. Now, so I did that, and it was exactly the amount of steps in 20 seconds. So you can literally walk that. And it said that many steps. And let me tell you, when you're moving, it doesn't really process steps the same way. I mean, at least on an Android phone, it doesn't process it the same way. Steps are different than moving or driving. And so it's different. And so I actually did that. In fact, I encourage you to, I think was it 35 steps in 20 seconds? Just at a regular pace. You're like, hey, I'm going to go from here into that direction and just walk normally. Don't meander. Don't slow yourself. Just think, look, I'm going from here to there and just walk normally. And you can count them out. 20 seconds. About 35 steps, I believe it was. I think that was the ratio. There's something wrong. I checked it. Look. So that makes me go, wait a second. So he was, when I seen that photo.
Over that night?
Yes. So each of those center dots is the center of a 10-meter accurate or better location record.
A 10-meter or better accuracy record. So 10 meters, what, 30 feet? That is pretty good because it actually shows, and I wrote it down. Oh, wait. Oh, wow, that's funny when I do that. Oh, look, I'm invisible. Oop. Oop. Oh, my God, that's kind of cool. Anyways, look. From 38, or what does it say? It said it had low accuracy records resulting in poor location data. It started in the pocket state at 3152. And then they had 50 low accuracy records that resulted in poor location data. And that I believe went all the way up to 3821. And it shows per second how it moved. Now, granted, there was a lot of wind at this time, but does that really look? I'm sorry, I don't know that wind actually can move a frequency. If a weather guy is out there that can tell me whether or not the wind can move the frequency of a GPS location. Is that possible? I don't think it is. I mean, I think that whether or not you're able to capture the data because of poor weather, but once you capture the data, it's going to be the same data no matter what the fuck time you capture it or how you capture it, as long as you're able to capture it. You know what I'm saying? So why would that change? You know what I'm saying? I don't think that, I could be wrong. Somebody enlighten me if you know more about location data stuff or about frequencies of like GPS locations, because I don't believe you can change that. That is not, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Somebody enlighten me. Hey, look, that's not my job. That's not what I do. Okay. Anyway, so the thing is what it says is that at 38:20, it showed that at 38:13. Okay, so wait. John's phone went into a pocket state at 31:52. Okay. And then that's when the poor location accuracy data records started happening because it's in his pocket. And it starts reading higher at 38:13. So that's 7 minutes later. 38:16, 38:17, it goes on. At 38:16, it's 18 meters. At 38:17, it's 14 meters. At 38:18, 12 meters. Shifted flagpole, lowest side of circle, okay? And then an obstruction was cleared. So I believe that means that the pocket state was cleared, or maybe him like taking it out of his pocket, or him, I don't know what the temperature was at that. We'll actually get into that because he goes on to talk about what the temperature level was. So if we revisit that right now, it would be fresh as to what Ian Whiffen had just said. So if those of you who don't want to go back through the notes, you just want to quick skim over it, I'm your girl. It's true. Wait, did we finish this one out? Right. Okay, so let's remove that. Oh, wait, I don't want myself in the, I don't like that. Yeah, out of the corner. Let's see. I have the other video. I actually have part 2 of that. So let's see if I can pull that up, that video file up. I think I don't know what's on this video. I haven't proofread it. I haven't edited it. I just
monitoring for if the battery temperature increases too high, it becomes a danger, or if the temperature.
A lot of this is phone recorded, so sometimes I get like messages on my phone, or I'm sending messages. So if I need to stop it, I will.
Gets too low and becomes an issue. So it constantly monitors the temperature of the battery and records that information in the knowledge C database.
The battery.
Did you look into the battery temperatures from before midnight and after midnight and do an analysis regarding the temperatures of that cell phone battery?
I did, yes. Throughout the evening of the 28th of January and then the morning of the 29th.
Mr. Whiffen, that's going to be hard to read. Is there any way you can enlarge it?
God, can I make this go
faster
on my thing? Oh, I did. How sad. My thought process is the same even watching it.
See an average temperature of around mid-80 degree Fahrenheit. I've got no understanding of where the device was at this time, whether it was in a pocket on a surface, whether it was in use or not. But I just wanted to get an average.
Okay, so clearly it's in his freaking pocket or indoors or something like that. It's got to be at least in his pocket indoors. Okay, I'm okay with believing that. Okay. Sorry, I just had another epiphany too. I just had another theory come to mind. Hater state. You guys just seen it happen live. I'm serious. Okay, here we go. So look at this. The 28th. It's in his pocket. They're out at the bar. They're indoors. Blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, he gets out of the car at 22 after, right? Or around there. And it just continues to drop. His phone's outside. Whether or not he's outside, we don't know. He may have dropped his phone and couldn't find it, or somebody found his phone and was looking at his phone. It's possible somebody's looking at his phone and walking around the yard with it going, oh my God, who was they were doing their own investigation trying to figure it out. Who knows? We don't know. Let's find out because it goes on. It's very interesting.
Idea of temperatures of the device. By 13 minutes after midnight, we're still at 82 Fahrenheit. At 22 minutes after midnight, we know from the location data that the device was currently in a car, and we see the temperature has dropped to 77 Fahrenheit. By 37 minutes after midnight...
So, hold on. I just want to point something out here. I think I played this video for you. Where are we on this one? I don't know if there's a way for me to bring that back up or not, but remember this video where Shen says that they flipped him over? Listen to this.
Police is square line. What is your emergency?
Yes, I need someone to come to 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Mass. There's a man passed out in the snow.
You're in Canton? Hold on. I'm going to transfer over to Canton Police. You called them. You're connected to Norwood, okay?
Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
It's the towers. That's right. Stay on the line.
I think he's dead. We need,
It connected to Norwood, so it's in the further part. So they were on the back end or something, when that's why it connected to that tower.
You got to get here ASAP, okay?
I'm going to transfer the line. I'm going to transfer to Canton.
Okay. I know. Where are the blankets? I don't see blankets, Terry.
911, what's emergency?
Yes, I need someone to come immediately to 34 Fairview Road, Canton, Mass.
What's going on?
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
In the snow at 34?
He passed out, yes. 34, the Albert resident, yes. I just pulled up and found him.
The Albert residents. They know what, they have an Albert that works for their department.
Okay, 34 Fairview?
34 Fairview, Canton, Mass, yes.
911, that's not recorded. Where's your emergency?
Well, wait, let me go back.
Unresponsive in the snow. There's a guy unresponsive Fairview Road, Canton, Mass. Where are the blankets? I don't see blankets, Terry.
911, what's emergency?
Yes, I need someone to come immediately to 34 Fairview Road, Canton, Mass.
What's going on?
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
In the snow at 34?
He passed out, yes. 34, the Albert resident, yes. I just pulled up and found him.
Okay, 34 Fairview?
34 Fairview, Canton, Mass, yes.
911, that's not recorded. Where's your emergency? Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you come to 34 Fairview Road in Canton?
Listen.
34 Fairview?
I kind of highlight
yes,
these words.
A man unresponsive in the snow.
Okay. Is he blue at all?
Yeah, you've got to get here, okay?
Okay. What's going on? Is he face down?
We just flipped him over.
Okay.
We just flipped him over.
Who's that in the background? Is that someone related?
Okay,
what timestamp was it when she said this? We just flipped him over. They arrived there at what, 6:06? She called. Okay, so
we now know the device is already at Fairview. It's been at Fairview for
is when she
approximately 12
called.
minutes.
And then
the temperatures
it got
continue to
cold.
drop. It's now 72 Fahrenheit.
Hold on, pause. 6:06. She called dispatch. They flipped him over off the thing. All of a sudden, the phone starts going cold. So he's been there. That phone. He's been on top of that phone since 6:06 in the morning. Something's been on top of that phone. His body was warm it was still warm. It started losing temperature pretty much almost right away. Sheesh. Well, I don't want to say right away because there was a blizzard, and so I'm going to go with that. I don't really know. But it doesn't look good. I don't know. What do you guys think?
If I can interrupt you. At 12:37, when the temperature drops to 72 degrees, is that before or after the healthcare data stops for that evening?
That's after.
Thank you.
45 minutes past, the temperature's dropped to 66 Fahrenheit. At 53 minutes past, it's dropped to 61 Fahrenheit. 7 minutes after 1, it's dropped to 55 Fahrenheit. At 1:36, it's dropped to 50. And then we have a large gap in the data, with the next record being made at 6 minutes after 6 a.m., when the temperature is 43 Fahrenheit.
Mr. Whiffen, if a phone has any protection or coverage, well, let me ask it this way. Do you know what, if anything, happened around 6:02, 6:03 to trigger that 6-degree drop in temperature?
I don't know accurately, no.
I know. We know.
And it's 37 degrees?
Yeah, you're correct. This is the coldest temperature recorded.
Do you know what, if anything, happened to that phone at 6:15:01?
I don't know.
Okay, please continue.
And then, as of that point in time, from 6:35, we start to see an increase in temperature to 43 Fahrenheit. At 6:40, it's up to 50 Fahrenheit. At 6:48, up to 55 Fahrenheit. And at 6:56, up to 61 Fahrenheit. And then also plotted this out onto a graph just for visualization. Again, we can see on the evening of the 28th, the temperature is relatively consistent. It starts to drop as we know the phone is traveling in a car. And by the time it arrives at Fairview, we only see it drop until 1:36 a.m. We see a relatively modest drop over the next few hours, but no records recorded. We see the final drop at 6:14, and then we see an increase. But there are no increases occur prior to 6:14 that would suggest that the phone went from a cold environment to a warm environment or had extensive usage.
Okay. So I think he goes on to say basically that there's a various accuracy between 40:22 and 59:29. And so he didn't really record that or something like that?
Between 1:36 a.m. and 6:06 a.m., is there any indication at any time that battery temperature went up?
No, there's no records related to battery temperature at all for that time.
Thank you. Is there another area that you looked at for your conclusions in this case?
Yes, I was looking at device usage.
What is device usage?
Information about when the user unlocks the phone, what applications they're using, what they're using the device for, and when they lock the phone again.
Would device usage require an actual person to interact with the phone, or can it happen without user interaction?
So this
everything
is
I was
where
looking
it
at
gets
was related
interesting.
to physical interaction and manipulation of the device by a user.
Please continue.
So the three sources of data that I used for this were Knowledge C. Data.
And really, this is the part we need to consider because there's movement in this area. And I think I know why. I don't know. I'm not sure. I have a couple of theories. Okay, here's the other two theories.
Logs lots of different activity.
The other two theories is that, okay, so she hits John or whatever. Or she freaking almost hits him or whatever. It's not nothing to, and he walks over to the other side of the road, and just then, what's her name? What is her name? Is it Jen's daughter? Allie pulls up to pick Colin up, runs him over. She's the one who hit him or bumped him or whatever. Where's her vehicle anyways? Whatever happened with hers? Has anybody looked into that? I mean, come on. I would have. Just saying. If I would have found out later, especially knowing that she left again. So she freaking, oh, shit. Oh, he's just drunk, maybe they thought. And Colin was like, oh, fuck it. And just maybe pushed him, and maybe, who knows? Basically, and he hurt himself so bad because maybe he was drunk at the time. Who knows? He stumbled, he fell, and hit his head, and boop, dead. And the kids did it, and then she runs home and tells her mom, and her mom calls her sister, and her sister's like, oh fuck, I can't tell my husband. Oh my god, oh my gosh, I mean, that kind of thing. That's what I want. I was like, it's possible. That's a whole nother one. That's a whole nother theory that I've got. Look, I could come up with all kinds of shit. Let's finish out this guy.
Including device unlocks, device locks, applications that are on screen. The current power log, which I mentioned, which can track button presses. So specifically when the lock button is pressed and the times that I display have been offset appropriately. And unified logs, which is essentially a list of almost everything that's happening on that phone for a short amount of time. But it would be used, for example, if you had a problem with your device, took it back to Apple because it was crashing all the time, let's say, they could look at the unified logs and figure out, well, what's causing these crashes to occur. So really granular. We see that at 12 minutes and 52 seconds after midnight, the device is unlocked using biometric Face ID. The SMS application is on screen for about 5 seconds before it's closed.
Wait,
and then
what?
the user presses the lock button at the side of the device to lock the phone.
Okay.
At 13 minutes and 54 seconds, biometric Face ID is used again,
Blah, blah, blah.
and the SMS application is opened.
All this.
And at 14
I'm
minutes and
playing.
29 seconds, the lock button is pressed again, causing the device to lock. 15 minutes and 46 seconds, the device is unlocked using Face ID. The SMS application is already on screen because that's the application that was on screen when the device was locked. And the device is locked again at 16:03. At 17 minutes and 59 seconds, the device is unlocked again using Face ID. The SMS application is still on screen from before. And at 18 minutes and 12 seconds, the lock button is pressed, causing the device to lock. At 18 minutes and 25 seconds, the device is unlocked using Face ID. The SMS application is already on screen
Okay,
from
so
the previous
here's my
usage.
other thought.
And at 18:31, the SMS application is closed.
So here's my other thought, you guys. So he's walking out. He goes inside. He does get out of the car. Jen says so in the 911 call. Watch, did you hear that part where she says?
His girlfriend, his name is John Keith.
Okay, how old is he?
John is 46 years old.
46. How long has he been outside?
I don't know. I don't know. He got out of the car and...
What? Ma'am, what? What did you say to the dispatch? He got out of the car. You said it, ma'am. That's the first thing you said to dispatch. That's the first story you told.
Breathing. A couple of hours. Is he carrying?
A couple of hours! Ma'am! She's seen him get out of the car for a couple of hours. Or a couple of hours ago. She's seen him get out of the car into the cold. The guy's asking her. She's giving him the information. Come on, man. Jen knows something. She's dirty.
I don't know if he's breathing.
Jen's having an affair with him, maybe. Maybe she ran outside and she's hugging him and blah 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 and freaking Karen's jealous rage freaking gets fired up, so she freaking fuck you and leaves, backs up, doesn't know, maybe she freaking almost hits him or does, I don't know. And so then whatever, but then, you know, maybe the kid pulls up, maybe something happens, I don't know. And the kid sees it, Colin sees it and says, oh, there's that guy. Why is he messing with Allie's mom? What's he doing? And so he knocks him out. And this is the other scenario. He's defending his auntie's honor. You know what I mean? It's possible, your state. Some of my theories depend on Karen dropping John off at 34 Fairview, not hitting him, then leaving him there. That doesn't make sense. Now, listen to me. You didn't hear what I just said, or was that after, or was that before I just give you the new theory? This is another theory, bro. I've got all kinds of them. I can continue. There's all kinds. So when I hear Ian Whiffen say, what did he say? Reasonable assumption. Yeah, so is everything else that I've said is a fucking reasonable assumption. At this point, you know what I'm saying? It's, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. I'm sorry. But it's a reasonable assumption. A reasonable person would go, whoa, if that happened, then this happened. But here's the thing that we do know. The only person that we know for sure that's lied is Jen McCabe and Carrie. We know for a fact both those broads have lied and they've been caught lying. And that's where their problem is. They've lied. There's something they're lying about. What is it? Why are they lying? What are they lying about? When did they know? And honestly, I think she did I think that she did make that Google search at 2:27 in the morning, if you ask me. But I digress. But when Whiffen says that from 40:22 to 59:29, there was various accuracies. Why? Because was it John that was moving around and trying to get somewhere? Was he lifting up off of his phone? Was he trying to move around? And that's why the frequency, there was more space and he wasn't covering up any type of signals. Who knows if he had any RFID blockers on him at some point? Who fucking knows? I mean, you don't know. We don't know. He was working around people that worked for the federal government, that worked deep undercover. And so why wouldn't he have certain, things that would do that? Higgins clearly does, because he doesn't have to submit all of his text messages. I mean, think about this for a second. These people cannot tell you their real jobs, or they have to give it to you in such a roundabout way that it's so confusing that you don't know who knows who. And here's the thing. If you ask me, I think those guys went to that funeral in New York City, unless if any of them was related to that young rookie. Okay, he was there for a year. Okay, he worked he was new to law enforcement. That's who's the only law enforcement officer's funeral that was in New York City on January 28th, 2022. And so, I mean, I looked it all up. So why? I think, yeah, they went there because they're deep undercover. Any law enforcement thing, if you're part of law enforcement, hey, that's a great excuse for you to go and meet your team, have a group meeting in person, nothing else going on, because you can't. Sometimes you can't leave that trail. It is what it is. I'm just saying. Anyways, I mean, you didn't hear that from me. Hold on.
At 1834, the phone application is opened by the user actively pressing on the phone icon on the home screen. At 1836, they're now in a call, and this causes a different screen on the phone. And at 1923, that phone call ends. At 1929, the Waze application is opened by the user pressing on the icon on the home screen. And that's open for approximately 5 minutes, closing at 24 minutes and 26 seconds.
Aha!
2 seconds later, at 24 minutes and 28 seconds, the device is locked by the user pressing the lock button on the side of the phone.
Okay.
At 24 minutes and 59 seconds, the device is unlocked using Face ID.
So that's my theory, is that he was sitting there, he was looking at his phone this whole time, and he wasn't even paying attention. And she ran into him, and he was like, and he got, and maybe his arm got twisted up in the wheel well, and it caused that to something shattered, and it cut him. Maybe it's possible. I guess it's possible. That's the other theory at your state. How many are at to? Like 4 or 5 so far? This stream? Look, I got all kinds. Okay? Pick one. I'm telling you.
The SMS application is opened using the icon on the home screen. And at 25 minutes and 9 seconds, the lock button is pressed by the user to lock the device. At 27 minutes and 45 seconds, the device is unlocked using Face ID. The SMS application is already on screen. And at 27 minutes and 50 seconds, the device is locked using the lock button. 29 minutes and 52 seconds, device is unlocked using Face ID. SMS application is already on screen from the previous usage. And at 29 minutes and 53 seconds, the lock button is pressed to lock the device.
Oh, wait. 27.
At 27 minutes and 45 seconds, the device is
27. I want you to notice this right here. Because at 27:48, it says, Jen's text is read. Okay? So this 27:45 must be the text that Jen sends to, or something like that. And it also says that it's a cleared pocket state at the same time. So it's out, it's being read, he's looking down at his phone, he's reading this text message. He's not looking where he's going. He's looking at his fucking phone. Okay? He's looking at his phone at 27:50. Cleared pocket state. Jen calls at 29:44. Okay?
unlocked using Face ID. The SMS application is already on screen. And at 27 minutes and 50 seconds, the device is locked using the lock button. 29 minutes and 52 seconds, device is unlocked using Face ID. SMS application is already on screen from the previous usage. And at 29 minutes and 53 seconds, the
and again, the pocket state was cleared at 29:42 biometric, and it's unlocked. He takes it out of his pocket. He gets the biometric. He's looking at his phone. He's not looking where he's going. Okay? So John's got some culpability here too. I'm just throwing it out here. Okay? I'm just saying. And Jen calls at 29:44. Okay? She's calling. This is her calling. He's like, fuck. Okay. Watch.
lock button is pressed to lock the device. 32 minutes and 4 seconds,
no.
The device is unlocked using Face ID. SMS application is already on screen from the previous use, and at 32 minutes and 9 seconds,
maybe he does. I don't know.
the lock button is
Did he answer that phone call? I didn't get to that part.
pressed by the user. And that is the final interaction with the device. It's the
32:09. He locks his phone, so he's looking at his phone, and he puts it in his pocket. She called him. It says pocket state 31:52. So those 31:52, it went back into the pocket state. Okay, so it started taking pictures after he locked it. It started to take pictures, and it went into pocket state. Like, okay, 32. He held onto his phone from 3209 to 32, maybe 52. So for almost at least a half minute, like 30 seconds, where his phone was out and he finally was able to put it, or it was covered up at around 31:52. So maybe put it right in right away. Anyways, that's when I believe they started with the 50 low accuracy records that went up until 3821. And then there was various, or 3813. And then it begins reading higher location data at 3813, which means he's moving. He's not on top of that face. There's something's going on. He's getting better. Look, I think the weather does have something to do with your signal, but it has nothing to do with your location, your GPS location, in my mind. I could be wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. So anyways, let's go.
The final unlock of the device using Face ID, and it's the final logged button press on the device as well to lock the device.
So the final interaction with John O'Keefe's cell phone that night?
Correct, up until 6:15 a.m.
And 12:32:09 was the last time before the phone moved again the next morning?
Correct.
Is there one more area that you engaged in analyzing?
He says that's 12:32:09 is the last time his phone moved. Or is it? Because what if his body was moved around? What if his body was moved around? Because, yeah, the health data, will document the steps, but there were no steps. But was his GPS location the same? Makes you wonder. I guess I didn't hear that part. Ooh, let's see what he said.
To help reach your conclusions in this case.
There is. During my time looking at the unified logs that were mentioned, I found a record that appeared like it could be interesting that was called Doppler. This was the pocket state that I think I mentioned earlier, and it detects when the user takes the phone out of a pocket, or at least removes the item that's blocking the camera. There were hundreds of thousands of records within the unified logs that I was able to filter down to just the Doppler records and to filter and aggregate down into a more digestible number, which is what's shown here. So again, whenever the device receives a phone call, or whenever the device is picked up in a particular way, the camera activates and it actively looks for a face. If it finds that the camera is blocked, it records the fact that it's in a pocket state. And it will continue to record pocket state until either the obstruction is removed, so the device has been removed from a pocket, or until whatever is calling for the Doppler check to be completed. So, for example, if I make a phone call, it will continue to check and look for a face up until the phone call ends, or the ringing ends. So in this case, at 12 minutes and 37 seconds, see a small amount of time where 4 Doppler checks were conducted. And that ended at 12 minutes 37 seconds with a pocket state cleared event. At 12 minutes and 39 seconds, there was a 7.5 second period where 108 Doppler checks were conducted. Again, that ended with a pocket state cleared event at 12 minutes and 46 seconds. At 25 minutes and 8 seconds, there was a single Doppler check that resulted in a pocket state.
Wait a second, that doesn't make sense. How can it be in a pocket state and only have one record for that entire time of midnight to 25 that it's got one record? What? What does this mean? Okay, the first record. Oh, okay, I see. Okay, I'm messing. Oh, okay. Duration. 1 second. And then it was cleared at 29:37. Cleared at 32:03. And it went back. It did, and then there was another. It was clear until it went back into a pocket state at 33:14. That was the first record, and it took 155 records in 31:52, and it even goes to the hundredths or thousandths. Here we go to 32:03, which is 8, 9, 10, 11 seconds. There's 15 and a half, or there's, okay, so there's 5, so it would be 10 records per second. So a little more than 10 records per second. And is that the last record was at 32:03, and then it doesn't record any fucking record from 32:03 to 33:14. Bullshit. I call bullshit on that. Bullshit. Where's that record? Liar. Somebody knows. Somebody knows where that record is. Are you saying from 32:03 to 33:14? What? That's when the 155 happened? I mean, I'd have to go.
29 minutes and 37 seconds for 5.5 seconds, roughly. There were 97 Doppler checks. The 97th check resulted in a pocket state cleared event at 29 minutes and 42 seconds. At 31 minutes and 52 seconds past midnight, there was an 11-second period where 155 Doppler checks were made.
What does the GPS data
The 155th
Your
Doppler
GPS
check
data
resulted
should
in a
always be
pocket
the
cleared
same.
event at 32 minutes and 3 seconds.
That shouldn't fluctuate.
At 33 minutes and 14 seconds was the start of a 5-hour and 20-minute period where 26,500 Doppler checks were conducted. Every one of those checks came back to say that it was in a pocket state. There was never a pocket state cleared event
Starting
during
at
that time.
33:14. So that means they're going to do that clock adjustment to try and fit it in that range. This is where they're at with this shit. You sense my frustration with this.
2 minutes after.
Like, who has the time to sit and do this? Bastards. Apparently these jurors do, because they're getting paid probably $20. Maybe 50 now. I don't know.
6 a.m.
I feel bad for them.
And 41 seconds. There was a 12-minute period and 20 second where 417 Doppler checks were conducted. The 417th Doppler check showed a pocket state cleared event at 6:15:01.
Mr. Whiffen, as a result of your analysis of John O'Keefe's
Hold
cell
on,
phone,
go back. Hold on, go back.
Considering-
What did he just say?
Mr. Whiffen,
And that was cleared at 6:02 when Carrie picked it up and put it in her pocket, right? He stuck it in her. Wait. It was cleared. She had it out. She was looking through his phone. She had it out. She didn't have it secure. She didn't put it in her pocket again. So she was looking through his phone. Somebody was. It was out. It wasn't in a pocket. The camera was clear. Dun, dun, dun!
as a result of your analysis
Should we go
of
and
John
find out
O'Keefe's
what
cell
Carrie said
phone,
about that part?
considering the location
Pick it
data,
up.
including Waze data,
Oh.
and considering the healthcare data, the pocket state information, the battery temperature, did you have an opportunity to create a timeline putting all of these different important pieces of data together so you could show them to the jury in chronological order?
I did, yes.
Would you share with us now your timeline and explain it for us?
Of course. So again, this combines all of the information from the previous slides, just showing it all within a timelined view.
So if you watched today and yesterday, if you watched this week, this isn't interesting.
So at 18 minutes and 25 seconds, the device is unlocked using Face ID. We see the SMS application is in use. For around 11 seconds, a phone call is made from John to Jennifer McCabe. A phone call lasts 36 seconds, starting at 18 minutes and 47 seconds. That call ends at 19 minutes and 23 seconds, and the mobile phone application is closed at 19 minutes and 24 seconds. At 19 minutes and 29 seconds, the Waze application is loaded on screen. And at 20 minutes and 49 seconds, which is what this location on the side relates to, we see an incoming message from Brian Higgins saying, "You coming here?"
He gets out of the car, Jen sees him.
At 22 minutes and 14 seconds, this is the start of the 3 flight climb events. As the device is driving along Oakdale Road, I believe that one is. At 24 minutes and 26 seconds is when the Waze application is closed and the device is locked via the lock button at 24 minutes and 28 seconds. At 24 minutes and 37 seconds, the three flight climb events comes to an end. And at 24 minutes and 38 seconds is the first record that shows a speed of 0 meters per second. At 24 minutes and 59 seconds, the device is unlocked using Face ID, and the message, "You coming here," is read at 25 minutes and 8 seconds.
He's not moving.
At 25 minutes and 9 seconds after midnight,
He's
the
reading
device
his
is locked using the
phone
lock button.
because everybody's texting him and calling him at the
27 minutes
same
and 33
time.
seconds after midnight, a
Phone's
text message
blowing
is
up.
received from
Basically, his phone is blowing up right now. His phone is blowing up. It's Karen, it's Higgins, and it's Jen. Anyone else want to get in on the action? Come on, man. So they're blowing up his phone. Oh shit! Did I mess that up? Where'd I go? What'd I do?
In chronological order.
I did. Just applications on screen, and the message "Pull behind me" is read. 9 seconds after midnight, the device is locked using the lock button.
Wait, where did I
Because this is the start of the 3 flight climb events.
There we go.
As the device is driving along.
As the device is driving? No.
At
No, he's already out.
26 seconds is when the Waze application is
car.
closed, and the device is locked via the lock button at 24 minutes and 28
This is
seconds.
where I think you're wrong. I think that he's already out of the vehicle. I think that he's going up to the house. I think that Jen sees him get out, and he goes up to the house.
At 24 minutes and 37 seconds, the three flight climb events comes to an end.
And antsy.
And at 24 minutes and 38 seconds is the first record that shows a speed of 0 meters per second.
He's inside, hanging out.
At 24 minutes and 59 seconds, the device is unlocked using Face ID, and the message, "You coming here," is read at 25 minutes and 8 seconds after midnight. At
Right when he gets inside, he receives the text message from Higgins. Right when he gets inside. So Higgins sent it right before he walked in the door.
5 minutes and 9 seconds after midnight, the device is locked using the lock button.
He locks it. He
At
doesn't
27
even
minutes and
respond.
33 seconds after midnight,
I'm here.
A text message is received from Jen McCabe saying, "Here."
Like, are you here? Wait, I saw you get out of the car. Are you here? I don't see you. You here?
27 minutes and 45 seconds after midnight, the device is unlocked using Face ID, and the "Here" message that was just received is read at 27 minutes and 48 seconds. At 27 minutes and 50 seconds, the lock button is pressed by the user, causing the device to lock. At 29 minutes and 37 seconds, we start to get some Doppler checks, and at 29 minutes and 42 seconds, the pocket stay cleared event is written. At 29 minutes and 44 seconds, there's an incoming call from Jen McCabe. This is answered and lasts for 7 seconds, ending at 29 minutes and 51 seconds. At 29 minutes and 52 seconds, the device...
Wasn't Karen freaking blowing up his phone at the same time? Pretty sure. Wait, when was her voicemails left? Yeah, look at that. When were her text messages left? He's gone inside the house. He's been in there for a whole 5 minutes.
This is unlocked, and a second later, the lock button is pressed, causing the device to lock again. 31 minutes and 47 seconds after midnight, a message is received again from Jennifer McCabe saying pull behind me. And
So
at 31
31,
minutes
he's
and 52
looking at his
seconds,
phone.
the
So
Doppler check
what I think
records
happens is he goes inside and then he comes back out, but he's like, well, I'm going to go and tell Karen, you know, what's up. And he runs out to go and tell her instead of freaking answering her. He's like, fuck, she's blowing up my phone. Everybody's blowing up his phone at the same time. So he's not paying attention. He's distracted. He's drunk.
pocket state. At 31 minutes and 56 seconds, we start the health event that shows 36 steps were taken.
Okay. $32.04. So, okay, so there's 36 steps. So he's walking. When does the health event end? End application, end health event at 32:16. So everybody, I want you to stop right now. We're all going to stop right now. 31:56 to 30. So that's 20 seconds. I want you to see how many steps you take in 20 seconds and at what pace. Okay, 36 of them. And that's probably about right. So we're all going to do that right now. I'll come back and where's my phone? I got to go get my phone and I'm going to time myself. Here, I'm watching. So we're going to do that. Okay, so let's do it. 20 seconds, 36 steps. I'll be right back. I had to count this off. Hold on, I can grab my phone and stuff. My timer. Okay, I have it right here. I got it right here. I'm going to start right now. Let's see. Timer. And, oh, you know what? Stopwatch. That's what I'll do. All right. I'm just going to count my steps for 20 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Ooh, I got 22 seconds for 35 steps. You know what? I was making iffy little, I'm walking indoors, so I'm not like in the open area. So, or in the open road. So feasible to just walk at a regular pace, doing 36 steps in 20 seconds, right? But what is he doing? He's looking at his phone. He is not looking where he's going. He's not looking at anything but his phone. It's clear. He's unlocking it with his foot. He's got Face ID. He's holding it up in front of him. He is not paying attention.
At 32 minutes and 3 seconds,
I'm
there's
just
a
saying.
pocket state cleared event.
None of the phone data
At
supports
32
right? Shut
minutes
up.
and 4
Yes, it
seconds,
does.
device unlocks
All of my
the Face
data,
ID. And again,
all of the data supports my theories. All 20,000 of my theories. What are you talking about? Okay.
Point out that makes perfect sense if the Doppler state clears because it's no longer within a pocket and then it unlocks a second later. That makes sense with the logic that's been identified. At 32 minutes and 5 seconds, messages applications on screen and the message pull behind me is read. 32 minutes and 9 seconds, the messages application is closed and the device is locked for the last time. At 32 minutes and 16 seconds, the 36-step health event is ending.
Mm-hmm.
At 33 minutes and 14 seconds, we have the first of the 26,500 Doppler state records.
Stop. Wait, what did he say? What was that last one? 32:16. Okay, and then 2. What did he say?
32 minutes and 16 seconds, the 36-step health event is ending.
Stops.
At 33 minutes and 14 seconds, we have the first of the 26,500 Doppler state records.
Like a minute later, he sticks it in his pocket.
This is followed by several phone calls. At 33 minutes and 35 seconds, 34 minutes and 9 seconds, 34 minutes and 38 seconds, 35 minutes and 9 seconds, 35 minutes and 35
At this point, Karen has no idea. Why would she continue to call his phone and drive away if she thought she hurt him at this point? Why would she do that? She wouldn't. I don't think she would.
seconds.
I could be
and 36
wrong.
minutes
I mean,
and 9
she could be
seconds.
that evil. I mean,
All
shit.
calls from Karen. Call were all
Look at that.
unanswered, and all resulted in pocket state being detected by Doppler. At 36 minutes and 9 seconds, and again at 36 minutes and 40 seconds, 2 more phone calls received from Karen, again showing unanswered calls and resulting in a pocket state being recorded by Doppler function.
Unanswered.
37 minutes past midnight, battery temperature has dropped to 72 Fahrenheit. And at 37 minutes and 8 seconds, a further phone call, again unanswered, again resulting in a pocket state recorded by
72 degrees.
37 minutes and 31 seconds, a 3-second voicemail received from Karen. And at 38 minutes and 21 seconds, another incoming call. And at 38 minutes and 26 seconds, another incoming call, both unanswered, both
When
resulting
was
in
Jen's
Doppler's
calls
pocket state being
answered?
detected by
When
Doppler.
was
And I've also showed some of the locations that
This
were
is
recorded at around this
important.
time by the device.
I want to know about Jen's phone calls.
40 minutes and 31 seconds, a message received from Jennifer McCabe saying, hello. This is the first iMessage or SMS message received by the device, which is unread. This is followed up 2 minutes later, 42 minutes and 9 seconds, by another message from Jennifer McCabe saying, where are you? And at 42 minutes and 35 seconds, there's a 40-second voicemail received from Karen. 43 minutes past midnight, the battery temperature has now dropped to 66 degrees Fahrenheit. At 45 minutes and 53 seconds, another incoming message from Jennifer McCabe saying hello. And again, we can see location data at 53 minutes and 7 seconds, placing the device on the front yard somewhere kind of around the flagpole area. 55 minutes and 31 seconds, a message received from Karen stating, I'm going home. 55 minutes and 50 seconds, a follow-up message saying, see you later. Another location data, this is the location that's shown bottom left. And at 2 minutes past 1 a.m., another message from Karen saying, your kids are cooking alone.
So, let's see, what else does he say?
Mr. Whitman, based on your analysis of John O'Keefe's cell phone, keeping in mind some of the data points you shared with us, that wave was initiated around 12:19, that the car reached the flagpole around 12:24:37, that the only health data during that later time near 12:30
Was it on
was from
vibrate?
12:31.
Was it on loud? Because wasn't that girl out there talking to her brother in the car behind Karen during this whole scenario? And how long did they stay there after? Maybe they're the ones who freaking hit him. Maybe they're the ones who freaking did it, and he was just out there freaking, and they didn't see that he was out there when they're the ones that took off and left. I could be wrong. I don't know. Or maybe they ran him over too. You don't know. Ooh, that would suck.
1:56 to 12:32:16.
God, this guy's got bad luck.
That the last interaction was at 12:32:09.
Either way.
Followed
The
by an
whole
overnight
family.
pocket state.
Shit.
An increased reduction.
Objection, Your Honor.
So I need to hear the question first.
Including a increased reduction in the battery temperature. Do you have an opinion, to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that after that phone stopped in the car at the flagpole area of 34th Fairview, whether or not that cell phone remained near the flagpole the entire night until after 6 a.m. the next morning?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow it.
The location data that shows accurate tends to show around the flagpole area. There's no further health data other than 36 steps that were taken that suggest that it moved after 32 minutes and 16 seconds after midnight. The battery temperature data never indicates that the device went from a cold environment to a warm environment, which I would expect to see if the device went inside a building. And the Doppler state information suggests that the camera was blocked for at least the majority of the 5-hour period, with no records showing that the camera was unblocked during that time, which would typically happen if you were to pick a camera up and move it around.
Does that lead you to a conclusion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
Yes.
Whether that phone remained in the flagpole area from around 12, 24, 33, until the next morning at 6 a.m. or after?
That's
the objection's sustained. Ask the question in a different form.
Do you have an opinion where John O'Keefe's cell phone was from around 12:24:33 on the evening of January 29, 2022, through at least 6 a.m. and after that morning?
Yes, based on the totality of all of the information that we've described, my opinion is that the device never moved far away from the flagpole.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Leslie?
Reapproach, Your Honor, please.
Okay.
And
jurors, feel free to stand up.
And there it is. He doesn't think that it moved far away from the flagpole, but remember in the beginning...
Point over that night?
Yes. So each of those center dots is the center of a 10-meter accurate or better location record. I chose to not show the accuracy radius circle on this image just purely because it makes it hard to see when you've got all these intersecting lines. But ultimately, if you were to draw a 10-meter radius around all of these points, they would all fall within the large red circle that's shown.
So this photograph was meant to take readings from the most accurate of the data throughout the night?
Correct.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. Ask it again differently, please.
Was this circle, did it include low-frequency data?
No, this circle only includes 10-meter accuracy or better.
I'm sitting here looking at talking.
The fact
and
that
you guys
the
can't hear
center dots are in different spots.
Sorry. Right here. Is that Berkowitz's house?
With a phone
or
being
shed?
in the same place,
what is that?
not moving that
What is
entire
that?
night?
Is that the flagpole?
It could indicate movement. It could indicate refinement.
Is it impossible
Remember,
to tell?
It's impossible to tell at this level of detail. Anyway.
50
Are all of these
records.
dots given the range, 10 meters or under, are all these dots and all these readings of the high-frequency data that you compiled for
various
that night, are they all
accuracy
consistent with
from 4 to
Mr.
20
O'Keefe's
to
phone
59, 29.
being near
Come on,
the
Whitney.
flagpole and not moving that night?
Objection, Your Honor.
Going on.
I think that's a reasonable assumption.
Assumption. Reasonable assumption. I've got a lot of reasonable assumptions at this point. So, first of all, it is a reasonable assumption. He's not lying. He's not lying. But you have to decide for yourself and take all of these. He doesn't have all the information. He has his information or the information that's been given to him. And you got to remember this. That's why none of these like forensic scientists or data collecting places, they can only give you answers to specific questions. For them to, I guess you could assume that, but here's the thing, you can assume a lot of different things. You got to learn to look at the totality of the circumstance. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. And when I'm looking at the totality of the circumstance, I'm seeing that John was looking at his phone at this time, at this specific time when they say they believe that Karen hit him because she did that 3-point turn at exactly the time that she was texting him. She was turning. Jen was texting him. I think Jen was even calling him, and he was looking at his phone, and it says that he was getting a Face ID capture. So you know that his phone was somewhat in a position where it was capturing his face. So it was in front of him. So he wasn't paying it. He was looking at his phone. He wasn't paying attention to where he was going. Like I said, he has some culpability in the whole scenario. It was probably an accident. I don't even think Karen knows she hit his ass or even almost hit him. I think that because he took the 36 steps, but I think that maybe the other car came and fucking hit him, or they didn't see him or whatever because they weren't paying attention because they were looking for Colin, maybe. Hey, I'm looking towards the house as I pull up to pick Colin up. Oh shit. And I run him over, don't even realize it. Maybe she did. Maybe they do. I don't know, but she's got to get home. Whenever she runs home, tells her mom. Wait, no, that can't be right. Mom's in the house. What the? Now I'm confused. I forget now. Hey, your state, help me. None of the phone data supports, but that's not true. Yes, it does. It just said so. Wait, are you saying Jen's phone data? Because remember, her husband, isn't he the freaking data king? So, you know what? Whatever. She's already been proven a proven liar. I don't believe a fucking word Jen says. And let me tell you why. Wait, why don't you listen to it for yourself?
Women trying to do his body heat, and they're hysterical.
Okay, can you just...
And
is he breathing?
A couple of hours. Is he, Carrie?
Wait, what? What'd you say?
46. How long has he been outside?
I don't know. I don't know. He got out of the car and
he got out of the car.
A couple of hours.
A couple of hours.
I don't know if he's breathing. There are two women trying to do his body heat, and they're hysterical.
Okay, can you just try to ask him? I know it's tough, but we already have the fire department going. They just got to know if he's breathing.
Is he breathing, you guys? No. It doesn't seem to be breathing.
Okay, do they know how to do CPR? Do they want to attempt CPR?
You guys, Carrie, can you guys do CPR? No, I guess he's gone.
Okay, they don't feel comfortable doing so?
No, I think he's passed away.
Okay. All right, we have the fire department and the police department on the way. If everyone's declining CPR, then I'll hang up with you, and if anything changes, you can give us a call back. Where are you guys outside?
Oh, right out front. You'll see the car. Oh. I know. I'm on the phone with the ambulance. I know.
They're going to try to get him CPR.
I know.
He's not breathing.
Look, Carrie, you got to get off him, honey. Carrie, you got to get off of him. Oh my God, this is a scene.
Do you know if there was any alcohol or drugs involved?
They had been out.
They've been out drinking?
Yes, but I'm talking hours ago, maybe. And I think I don't know how long he's been in the snow.
Okay, is there any bleeding or anything? Maybe he hit his head out?
Yes, possibly. There seems to be bleeding in the face.
Okay, bleeding from the face? All right.
Yes.
And how big's the pool of blood, if there is any?
Something's coming out of his nose, and one of the women is doing CPR.
Okay, one of the women is doing CPR?
Yes, they're both working on him.
All right, if she's doing CPR, just let me, just give us a call back
So
and we
her
become a
DNA is
sponsor,
going to
right?
be
But we're on the way.
on his
Okay,
lips.
thank you.
What?
So when I heard about that, I was like, well, if they knew he was dead and they did that, maybe they just wanted their DNA on him hours later. You know what? Look, I got all kinds of freaking crazy scenarios. You don't even want to know. I'm so cynical in my thought process. Hi. Wait. Oh, are you still there, Farmer Fred? Sorry. He's my most loyal fan. Wait. You like that one? I'm funny. So, oh wait, I don't like that. Wait, remember. Okay. So, I'm not done yet. I'm not done quite yet because I did want to play one more little thing before we go today. And that was part of the guy's testimony from the brain surgeon from today. Remember? I mean, what did you think of that, Hate Your State? Surgeon Karen Reed. Okay, so he actually does a nice, short, sweet, simple brain surgery. He dissects this real quick. He's like, look, I ain't got time for this. Just it is pretty interesting. Let me see if I can. I'm not going to remove those. Let me see if I can present share screen. Here we go. Is Dr. Wolf. So ironically, think about that. The Wolf Pack. Maybe that's what I should have named this, the Wolf Pack, because the guy from Celebrate, his last name is Wolf, and that is part of my intro that I had. He's like, they don't make the checks out to Dan Wolf. They make it out to Arca. You know, like he was getting paid per like, I get a salary. Look, no matter what I do, I get paid the same. And that was his point, as he just gets paid the same. He works for a company and he gets paid by that. You're still, are you not watching the Karen Reed trial, Farmer Fred? Is that what you're telling me? What? Are you watching the Diddy trial? Is that what's going on here? Tell me. Because if that's the case, you need to update me because I want to know about that trial too. Farmer Fred, I have something. You know what? I've got a little thing for you. No, hold on, Farmer Fred. I've got something. Hold on. I've got something for you, Farmer Fred. Hold on a second. Look at what I found. You're going to love it. This is for my biggest fan. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, geez. Screen recordings, maybe? Hold on. I got to find it. Crap. Here it is.
It was so incredible because, a couple years ago, my daughter had finally gotten pregnant. She'd been married for about 4 years, and she finally got pregnant. And I remember seeing her on Friday because she did my eyelashes. She's doing my eyelashes. She's an esthetician. So she has her own studio, or she has.
Okay, I shouldn't need to tell you all that stuff.
Sweetest little thing in the whole wide world for a whole week, and he was exactly 22 weeks when he was born. His Wesley, and he is the sweetest little thing in the whole wide world. Oh, geez, I love that baby.
My grandson.
It's so cool. Anyways, I actually, that's what actually prompted me to do a lot more streaming and stuff back then for prayers, to create a prayer chain. So what do you think, Farmer Fred?
That's what I did.
Think prayer chains work?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No, Viper, I'm not biased at all. I agree. I think that prayer works, and people just, the power of it because of other people's faith.
No, I didn't want this flagpole Hate Your State. I just
they literally will have more faith in other people's faith to get them through things. And it's crazy. And I'm so grateful that I raised my daughter in the church and that she immediately went straight to God when I couldn't be there. You know how the word says that train a child up the way he should go, and then when he's older, he won't depart from it? You know that scripture?
Yeah.
Yeah. There it is. It's the truth. It freaking is totally friggin' true.
What do you think about
When
this,
you raise a
Farmer Fred? What do you think about this?
child up to believe and give them the truth about God, when they're a young child, they accept it. You know? And unfortunately, there's so many new parents nowadays that, you know, I'm even ashamed to say that even people that I knew probably didn't raise their children in the church or didn't raise their children knowing the Lord. And I'm so grateful, because when I was a little girl, my father used to have us listen to Bible tapes every single morning. We did our chores. We woke up, we did our chores, and we had to listen to Bible tapes for a half an hour, and then we could get ready for school. And, you know, I just,
Farmer
it's
Fred's a
kind of cool
streamer.
because I've never not known God. And that's the beauty of it.
This was.
You mean you revert to your training? No way. Grandma, what do you mean I revert to my, what?
Like 4 years ago,
What are
I
you
think.
talking about? I missed it. What did I miss?
3.
Viper is chatting on Twitch.
Grandma isn't biased.
You probably can't see it. Do you see where it says comments, Farmer Fred?
Yes.
So you can click on that and you can see all of their things.
So
this is a whole new world for
think
you,
of this.
huh?
I saved this special for you. Yeah. Do you want me to play it out? You know what? Let's do it.
Said, raise your
we'll
kids in
end
the
the show
church.
with this. How about that?
Yes, you always revert to your training, but you already know that. It's often like when you're in the military or when you're in law enforcement. They train you for muscle memory. They train you to do things over and over and over and over again so that you have the muscle memory. And it's the same thing with Jesus Christ. It's the same thing with the Word of God.
It's
the
true.
same thing to put on the full armor of God. Do you know what I'm saying?
Hey, this is good stuff.
When you do those things continually, it becomes natural. You don't even think about it. It's your go-to. It's really cool. Anyways.
So I thought that was pretty cool. I ran into that video. There's actually a little bit more of that, but we're going to end that there. Because I always kind of want to do a little closeout here in case anybody else is. I haven't even seen who's up late. But I had a lot of fun tonight. I hope you guys learned something about. Oh, you know what I wanted to do was pull up that dude's, the neurosurgeon. Let's listen to a little bit of this. His was such a quick synopsis. He was pretty good. I'm going to skip over a bunch of stuff because he's like, I've held more brains in my hands than, but then they're like, well, yeah, but were they dead brains? Or were they alive? And it just got to the point where it was like, that's why I kind of had that video of Dan Wolf saying, they don't make the check out to me. I'm a salaried employee, whatever. This guy comes up and he's like, look, I got no skin in the game. I just happened to notice this, and I'm giving you my personal, professional, expert opinion as a neurosurgeon in what the viability of functionality of this particular brain after receiving an injury like that. So it's pretty, I personally think that it's pretty important. I don't know. Maybe. But I don't think so. Oh, wait, where is it? I don't know which one it is. Hold on. Oh, it's this one. Okay. Sorry. I wasn't sure which one. I've got like 3 different things here. So let's just, quick do a little of that and we'll probably end with this stuff. We're going to go through this real fast.
Yeah, at NYU, I did a fellowship before I went to the University of Maryland as a professor.
Hey, he's from Minneapolis, by the way.
To create dopamine centers in rat brains.
Yeah, he's from Minneapolis. He did some of his residency, I believe, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So he's talking about brains in the cold. So
with the concept of Parkinson's being curable with transplantation.
I'd like to.
Yes.
In your career, have you engaged in research?
Yes.
Has that research focused or centered on brain injury?
Yes, it has.
Is some of your research as a principal investigator for THAM treatment of brain tissue, acidosis, and severely head-injured patients?
Yes.
Did that research and as a principal investigator help you in your diagnosis and treatment of brain injury?
It actually was in treatment of severe head injuries patients who are unconscious. The concept of trying to relieve the increased intracranial pressure that occurs from the injury and to increase blood flow, thereby increasing.
All right, it's his credential.
Sure. Were you the author of a book chapter regarding head injury, difficult medical management?
Yes.
Were you the author of a book chapter on pediatric neurosurgical emergencies?
Yes.
Were you the author of a book chapter on complications of head injuries in adults?
Yes.
Were you author of a book chapter imaging of craniocerebral trauma?
Yes.
Were you an author of a book chapter in emergency room assessment of the head injury patient?
Yes.
Were you the author of a book chapter intracranial injuries?
Yes.
I won't list or ask you about the other book chapters that you've been the author of. Have you been involved in journal articles?
Yes.
I'd like to ask you just about a few of the 70 journal articles that you have published.
So go ahead and ask the question.
Were you an author of a journal article, Intracranial Pressure in Non-Traumatic Ischemia and Hypoxic Cerebral Insults?
Yes.
Were you the author of the journal article, Post-Traumatic Cerebral Infraction?
Yes.
Were you the author of the journal, Fractures of the Clouds?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that paper?
We used thin cut CT scans to identify fractures of the skull base. Prior to CT scans, it was very difficult to actually identify radiologically a skull fracture with plain X-rays. The idea was to see if we could identify more clearly, and so we classified them and delineate them in the paper and discuss the outcomes that were relative to those type of injuries.
In the last journal article, I'll ask you about were you the author of a journal article regarding acute traumatic midbrain hemorrhage?
Yes.
Were you the presenter in a number of presentations regarding head injury and brain injury?
Yes.
What? There's not an echo. Is there an echo? Oh, you know what? I apologize. Hold on. You're right. There probably is. Hold on. How do I stop that?
And a separate presentation, Fractures of the Clyde.
I know why.
Clinical features.
I just realized why. This changed somehow. I apologize. Thank you, Hate Your State, for saying so. Here you go. All right. Now it should be okay.
Do you lecture?
Yes.
Sorry. How about that? Is that better?
Yes. That was one of them.
And are you heavily involved in clinical research?
Sorry.
Right now, my research is more based on radiosurgical techniques and outcomes.
I don't know why I did that.
Over your career and your study and your clinical experience, have you treated different types of brain injuries?
Yes.
Are you familiar with a number of different types of brain injuries?
Yes, we still treat them.
Were you asked to review materials relative to this case?
He's being a smart ass.
Do you recall the materials that you reviewed?
Yes.
Could you share with us some of the materials that you reviewed?
I reviewed the chief medical examiner's assessment of the case. I reviewed pictures that I'm assuming the medical examiner took of the autopsy. And I reviewed the report from the forensic pathologist.
And before I ask you about your review of specific materials and your opinions in this case, is there a benefit to your clinical experience in studying brain injuries as opposed to the experience you had as a fellow simply with pathology?
Well, I think that for the jury to understand, as a clinician understands the process from the time the injury occurs until the patient either leaves the hospital or dies. And it's a process. And as a neurosurgeon, I have a tremendous amount of experience with that, if that's what you're asking me.
Yes. So, doctor, you reviewed a number of items of information in this case. Did you have an opportunity to review photographs of a laceration to Mr. John O'Keefe's head?
Yes, I did.
With the court permission, I'm going to ask to display Exhibit 160.
Okay.
Dr. Wolf, I'm going to ask you to take a look at this photograph. Have you seen this photograph before?
Yes.
I want you to explain to us what you're seeing here and take us through the process of your observations.
Well, what we're seeing is an approximate 1.5 inch laceration with bridging tissue and contusions and abrasions.
They're not going to show us that
So
picture.
that's just a classic blood trauma
I
injury.
wish they would.
There's nothing
I wonder if there's
about
a
it. This is what happens
camera
when soft
angle
tissue
that
hits the solid
actually
ground.
does have it.
The skin tears apart a bit, but not through and through. As you can see, there's the bridging. You can see all the
doesn't
bruising
do-
or contusions and just the tear, a little bit serrated
He
along the
doesn't
edges.
do true crime
Becky, if you could take
sort
that
of
down.
stuff. He doesn't do this stuff.
Dr.
I
Wolf,
mean,
as a
maybe
result
he
of
does.
that wound, did you have a chance to further look at
He's not
information provided to you about the actual inside the skull of Mr. John O'Keefe?
Yes, it was the pictures that I was reviewing.
Okay,
showed-
so I sent you a link, Hate Your State, if you want to come in and give your last thoughts at the end of this and tell me what you think of all of my theories. And then, you know what? After, because these are new witnesses. You haven't seen these guys before, but I believe you watched the first trial. So tell me your take on it. I think Scorty Bella wasn't going to say no. I can't say that the freaking car hit him. I can't say that. There's no proof that shows that she hit him and that's what caused him to fall back. Something hit him. But I can't say it was that car because nobody's provided me proof of that. That's where I'm at with it.
But a non-depressed skull fracture extending linearly through the clivus and into the frontal fossa of Mr. O'Keefe over the orbital roofs.
God,
he had fractures along the temporal fossa as well. So it was a classic linear basilar skull fracture.
Probably got the AIDS at the
basal skull fracture.
DMV.
Basically, the base of your skull is what it encompasses. So the opening at the very bottom is what we call the foramen magnum that connects your brainstem to your spinal cord. And then as your brainstem goes up, it goes into the different skull areas that, talk about what we call.
See if you can go into my voice chat in Discord? See if that works. I have Discord open. I might be able to add that. Let me see. Add. Audio. No, cancel. What? How would I do that? Oh, I know. Display. I could do a display capture. Yeah. Hold on. I could do it if you want to. You want to try it. It's up to you. Oh, let me find my sure. What? Hello? I don't know if it'll work. Oh, but I better stop. Okay, let's go. Sorry, I get distracted. Almost
Your
done.
cerebral cortexes, your occipital lobe, your temporal lobes over here, and then your frontal lobes.
So can you walk us through what happens when someone incurs this type of injury to the back of the head, how it happens, and what are the next steps for a person?
So what happens is, you fall backwards, and the linear acceleration starts to take you back down with gravity. The skull hits the ground. It gets, in layman's terms, smashed a little bit. And then the brain moves forward as a response to that. And it moves forward because you have cerebrospinal fluid and because you have the deceleration, acceleration again. As it does.
Right. So here's the thing is just the mere force of you falling backwards and how you fall backwards. You could just pass the fuck out. Like you're fucked up and you pass out. Oh, sorry, you can say it like that. But you know what I mean? You could pass out and hit your head. Just like that's why when people have seizures, they worry about their head. They fall down. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody who's had a seizure. I have, or who's fainted. I have, and it's crazy because they're instantly gone. They're like out of it. They're not, and then they hit the ground, bam, hard, and so. If somebody passes out or if somebody just freaking falls down, it could happen. It's possible. So I don't know. There's just too many variables in this scenario to say, to be honest, beyond a reasonable doubt that it was Karen that, even if she did hit him, there's still too many variables lingering because Jen was seeking out, it was blowing up his phone still. What the fuck? That broad was out there telling her brother to take off and she was going to stick around for a while. Now, come on. No. And Karen left before they were there. Come on. No. There's something else. Somebody else hit him and they wanted it to, that's how I think, but
your skull, if you were to look inside your skull, it's like
she's that cynical.
along your temporal bones and your front.
She's probably wondering herself, fuck, did I black out? Did they do this? What happened here? And the thing is, if somebody knows, if feds know, and they actually have film of her or somebody else doing this, why wouldn't they show them? Why wouldn't they give her the opportunity to be like, look, you did do this. And her go, Oh my God. You know, I think that if they had that and they showed it to her and she'd seen it and she'd be like, oh my God, she would be beside herself. That's my thought process. Because I think she did love him. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Frontal bones. So the brain is being thrust forward at a fairly good speed, and it's getting bruised. You can think of it as if you took a hammer to your thumb. It's really turning black and blue. Those are the contusions. And so the temporal poles and the frontal poles are getting contusions because of that. At the same time, you have a space called the subarachnoid space. And I'm sure they're going to hear about the subarachnoid hemorrhage. Yeah.
They're all drugged. No one was
a thin membrane that covers
true.
all of your brain and all of your spinal cord. And normally, you really don't see it unless you open up the brain and you're operating. But when you either have a traumatic event like this where little vessels are pulling apart underneath that membrane, or for example, the classic, when you have an aneurysm burst, the space that the aneurysm bleeds to is the subarachnoid space. The other thing that occurs in trauma like this is you can get a subdural. So the dura is the membrane that covers the whole brain and also right down your spinal canal. It's a very thin membrane that looks like very thin leather. And in that space between the brain and the dura can be a lot of veins that go towards a central vein called the sagittal sinus. And if those tear, you have a venous hemorrhage from, which is not arterial, so it's not quick, but that can develop into a subdural as well. If you tear a portion of your brain as well.
So he goes on to explain the whole process about how if you fall on your head in a certain way, it can cause fractures
that I described
that could look like it's a broken nose or it's
these are all findings that you would see on a CT scan and MRI
so that
scan
it's
without requiring an autopsy if you had made it to the emergency room.
Wait.
I want to take a step back at the beginning. You said that this laceration on the back of his head was caused by a fall. Could this be caused by a fall landing on hard ground?
Yes, like I said, it's a classic blunt trauma laceration.
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty whether this injury, the laceration in the basal fracture, was caused by Mr. O'Keefe falling backwards on the ground?
My opinion is that that's what caused his whole injury.
So the back of the head falling on the ground and hitting his head there. But then he goes on to ask him about, well, what about the front of the head? Could that cause it? Well, no. No. And so that was interesting. Hold on. I think he goes on to say.
The pattern of the laceration. Do you have an opinion whether that is consistent with hitting the cold, hard ground?
So I'm sustaining the objection, so no sidebar.
Do you have an opinion, doctor, about whether that laceration on the back of his head was caused by a particular movement?
Well, the only way he could get this kind of an injury was to fall backwards, hit the back of his head, and then the resulting, energy forces going into his brain, into his base of his skull.
Would that type of laceration require Mr. O'Keefe to have hit a line type or ridge type object?
A ridge type of object? Yes. No, I mean, like I said, the tearing of the skin in that fashion, you could look it up, would be just a classic blunt trauma injury.
Is there anything about that injury that would suggest to you it had to have been something sharp or ridge-like to cause?
Objection, Your Honor. Begin request timing of sidebar on this.
All right, we'll come to that.
Oh, fast forward that. We don't care. Wait, did they show the fan? Yeah.
So as we were discussing, Dr. Wolf, you said this is a classic fall backwards. Is there anything about the pattern of that laceration that would suggest that there was a ridge or a line-type edge that caused that wound?
Not necessarily.
And
not necessarily.
Similar types of lacerations and breaks caused by falling on hard ground.
Yes, you can see that both in the occipital region. You can see if patients fall on the forehead. The skin tears, they're still bridging, and then they get bruises.
Some of your work was in Minnesota?
Correct.
Was it a colder part of Minnesota?
Very cold part of Minnesota. It's Minneapolis.
I'm sorry. Did you often see these type of injuries there?
Gotta love this.
We took care of a trauma center in Hennepin County. Very frequently, patients that are drunk.
Hennepin County, hey, that's where my stomping grounds. That's where I'm at.
In their head, epidurals, which are blood clots above the dura, because they fracture a bone in the temporal area.
So you start to testify about being in cold weather.
Artery. And it happens when people are shoveling snow and have a heart attack and fall backwards.
And he had to see a lot of that here. A lot of people die that way in Minnesota.
Resulting in head injuries and lacerations to their forehead or to different areas of their head.
Can somebody suffer this type of injury simply by falling backwards?
Absolutely.
You had taken us through the process of falling backwards and then talked about what happens to the brain. Can I ask you a couple detailed questions about that?
Sure.
When you explained that the brain upon impact then shifts forward and hits the front of the skull,
hit your state. I didn't have brain surgery, smart aleck.
Well, the medical term is a coup contre coup injury.
Coup contre coup.
So the coup is when you first hit, In this case, it was the back of the head, as summarized by the laceration in the back of the head, and the contusions that the pathologist and the ME found in the back of the brain. And then the brain shifts forward, and as it's traveling at a certain velocity, because it's thrust forward on the floor of the base of the skull, it's getting bumped, and it's getting, again, you can think of it as a hammer hitting a thumb.
You know
it's
what?
getting black and blue in
Can
the
I
areas that
tell
are
you
sharpest.
what this guy is saying is that at this point, John was complete milk toast. That he was so just falling apart. Just as soon as his fucking head hit the fucking ground, he was just out of commission. That was it. Done. Maybe he might have been coherent and been able to move a little here and there, and that could account for the time where it actually shows from 38 the 50 low accuracy records between 3152 and 3821 or I'm sorry, 3813. They showed that poor location data because, maybe he was trying to move around, and then it started to begin reading higher in the location data at 3813, which tells me he was still moving, or at least mobile of some sorts. Maybe he wasn't taking steps, but he was moving, and that GPS data location, I believe, was bouncing around. Maybe he was freaking blah, and didn't understand where he was and wasn't coherent and was brain damaged at that point. Maybe Jen came out and was like, dude's just drunk, he passed out on the ground and didn't realize that he was fucking dead. Maybe wait, what number would that be? Hate Your State. What theory number are we on now? 736? I can't stop. It is what it is. Let's finish this guy.
Are there symptoms that result of
I think
the process
looked 3 times fast now.
This is clinically, it varies. I mean, you can go from anywhere from a simple concussion where you sort of are unaware of what happened, but you're still awake, you're confused, all the way to, ultimately being in a coma.
Can this type of injury, in Kukampuku and what you see in the review of your files, could this type of injury happen from an attack by a weapon, like a bat or a hammer?
Well, he did not have a depressed skull fracture. So any focal hit like that would more likely than not have caused a depressed skull fracture. Blunt trauma, the way he had, the assumption, would cause the Kukampuku without a depressed skull fracture.
When the Kukampuku process happens with the skull fracture, does anything happen to the front of the skull?
Well, you're asking me, does the rest, I mean, the forces, depending on how hard they are, can generate fracture lines all the way to the anterior fossa. So you can have fractures along the lateral temporal area. You can have fractures along the orbital roof. The orbital roof is very thin. And so those forces can go all the way to that area.
Did you see any sign of orbital fractures in Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes, he had both the ME and the pictures taken, and the neuropathologist mentioned fractures of the orbital roof.
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty how those fractures occurred?
From the trauma.
Could you just explain a little bit how that would happen?
Well, as he fell backwards and he struck his head, it was clearly at a very high speed generated by the gravity. The bone, depending on the quality of his bone, the density, then generated forces. There's a certain amount of lateral give, and then you get a linear force going forward. It drives all the way up the clivus and forward into the anterior fossa where his orbital roofs lay. And this is why people like this get what they call raccoon's eyes.
Do you have an opinion whether the brain itself could have caused the orbital fractures?
No. The brain is a soft substance. You could literally put your finger through the brain. We often operate on people fully awake. The brain couldn't possibly cause a fracture. The fracture was caused by the forces generated through that clivus, that middle bone in the middle of his base of the skull.
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty whether or not the brain in any way could have caused these orbital fractures?
The answer is absolutely not.
In your study of the records and photographs and in your experience treating these types of injuries, do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty whether or not a person would remain conscious or would be immediately unconscious after the impact of the ground?
Well, it's impossible to know whether he became immediately unconscious, but his injuries were very substantial, and it's more probable than not that at some point he quickly became unconscious and was unable to do functional activities.
What does functional activities mean?
The ability to, get himself up and about would be one of the functional activities. The ability to call for help would be a very significant cortical function. And that's what I was talking about.
So here's my thought process on this, though, is that if he fell back, hit his head, and that's how he died, he didn't die instantly. He was moving around. And let me tell you why. When Jen arrived, he wasn't laying on his back. He was face down. Because remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but she literally said that he that they turned him over, right? Remember that?
Police will square line. What is your...
Wait, where's
Gotta know if he's
Okay.
breathing.
Is he breathing, you guys? No. It doesn't seem to be breathing.
Okay, do they know how to do CPR? Do they want to attempt
Can you
CPR?
guys, Carrie, can you guys do CPR? He's breathing. There are two women trying to do his body heat, and they're hysterical.
Okay, can you just try to ask him? I know it's tough, but we already have the fire department going. They just got to know if he's breathing.
Is he breathing, you guys? No. It doesn't seem.
Wait, where you said?
I don't know. He got out of the car and
Is he
it could be
breathing?
a couple of hours. Is he, Carrie? Is he? I don't know if he's breathing.
He
There's
got
two
out
women
of the
trying
car. That's what she said. I mean, you know what? Jen is not saying something, and that's where I have a problem. You know what I mean? That's where I have a problem with Jen. She's lying about something, and she's not saying something. Why? Who is she preserving? And I remember specifically in her testimony that I think it was Brennan or Alessi. I don't remember who it was. They were going with her state of mind is all that they were going with. They said, this is all I want you to evaluate is her state of mind when she was making statements or when she arrived on scene. And he says, have you talked to your kids about this? Like kind of giving her a little, did you talk to them? I'm waiting for him to come back to that question. Go, what did you talk to them about? What exactly did you, when I asked you if you talked to them, you said yes. What did you say? I'm waiting for him to say that. I'm waiting for somebody on the defense to say, what is it that you said to your children, Jen? That would be very interesting, don't you think? I mean, okay, I gotta go. I got stuff to do. I'm tired, you guys. Look, I hope that I gave you a new perspective on what I see. And I really enjoy watching the morning texts during the maybe we'll end the stream with all of that and we'll replay those videos just for funsies. But you know what? I'll see all you fans tomorrow. Anyways, you guys have a good night. Thanks for hanging out with me. And hit the thumbs up button. Come on, man. Hit the thumbs up button. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Let's see. What can we play? forgot I was still on here. Hold on.